Since 2003, this is The Sports Source with your host, John Pennington.
The Sports Source is presented by Junk Be Gone, Pipe Wrench, and the Garza Law Firm.
The Sports Source starts now.
Good Sunday morning and welcome into the Sports Source here in the Junk Be Gone studios. We have a really good show for you. We're only 6 days away from Tennessee's 2025 football season kicking off in Atlanta versus Syracuse. So we are going to be making season-long predictions. We'll give you our final record predictions. We'll talk about who we think could beat the Vols. We'll also talk and we could talk about who they're going to win against, but ETSU, there's no interest in that. So don't take that as negative right off the bat. We're going to talk to you about the games that are probably going to be the most challenging. We'll also tell you who we think team MVP is going to be, who we think the top newcomer is going to be. We'll show you 8 stats that are incredibly predictive for Tennessee under Heupel. Their numbers we're going to trace all football season long on our Sunday show right here, and you are going to be blown away. I'm telling you, these are really eye-opening stats in terms of if Tennessee does this, their record is, wow, your eyes are going to bulge out of your head. So let's just get going. Let's get going with this thing. First segment of our show brought to you by the Garza Law Firm. Folks, the Vols, as I mentioned, they are playing away from home next weekend. No home field advantage. Well, you don't want an attorney playing away from home in a strange environment. Don't make the mistake of hiring an out-of-town lawyer. Hire local attorneys, proven attorneys. That's Marcos Garza and the Garza Law Firm from right here in East Tennessee, located right here in East Tennessee. Local, proven, quality. GarzaLaw.com to learn more. Get yourself the home field advantage. Go with the local attorney, Marcos Garza. All right, let's welcome in our panel for the day. We have right over here Josh Ward, reunited with Will West. You guys used to do some radio together, I believe. 99.1 The Sports Animal. Right here we have Chuck Cavaleris,
yes,
reunited with Bob Hodge. Yeah. You guys have done a few thousand Sports Source episodes with me. Thanks for everybody being here today.
Yes,
as I said, 6 days to kick off, so it's prediction time. I want to know, each of us, this is your final prediction, where we start and where we finish. This is it. This is the finish. So what is your prediction for Tennessee's record, and include in that who you think the Vols will lose to? And before we get into that, I do just want to say, sometimes if you say it's a 9-3 team, you're talking about a range. So it could be that Tennessee upset some team you didn't see, but that just means they're probably going to lose to somebody that upset you didn't expect. You know, if you'd said going into last year 10-2, there were probably a lot of people who said that. I doubt very many of them said, yeah, it'll be Georgia and Arkansas. So the main thing to pay attention to is the record, because I think that shows us the range you're in. But we'll also have a little fun and make everybody, gun to your head, who's the team that's going to beat them. All right, Josh, congratulations. You sat in the catbird seat, so you have to start, and then we can all mock you. So if you would hold up your little wipey there and show everybody. What are you going with?
I have 9-3, and I have
there we go.
The big 3, I think, on the schedule as the 3 losses. That feels like chalk, and I do think they're all winnable games, including Georgia. The odds makers think it's a winnable game. It's been in the 4 to 5 point range, projecting ahead for that game. It's at home. Tennessee's been very good at home, but I have 9-3. Georgia at Alabama, at Florida. Tennessee's trying to win at either location for the first time since 2003.
That's tough. Yeah. That's the last time they won at either location was the first year of the Sports Source. Yeah. It's been that long since they have won. It was year 1 of the Sports Source. We were doing the show in Seymour.
Right.
Because I remember watching the games in Seymour, and that Alabama game that year went into 55 overtimes. It just kept going on and on and on. And I believe that year was the Casey Clausen to James Banks Hail Mary at the end of the first half in Gainesville that they went on to win that game, I believe. Right. Okay, so Josh says 9-3. He's got Georgia, Alabama, Florida. Will West? Show everybody what you're doing.
Well, wildly different. So that's the really surprising. No, it's exactly the same. I have them, same 3 teams that they're losing to. I have them going 9-3 on the season. I really want to pick Tennessee to beat Florida this year. Like, I want to pick that so badly because I think they're a better football team. But after what happened 2 years ago, there is something cosmic that's happening. And I just will never pick them to win at Florida again until I lay eyes on it myself.
It's a little like Kentucky winning against Tennessee. It's just so rare that it's hard to predict it.
Yep.
Even if the numbers suggest, oh, this is the year. How many times have we sat there and said on a Florida game, oh, well, this is the year?
Well, I did 2 years ago when you and Bob argued with me, and I was like, that
Never do
doesn't
it.
happen.
Yeah.
This is about football. It wasn't about football. It was about something cosmic happening.
All right. Very good. So I have to be the first villain, but at least I'm a consistent villain. I said this, we asked at the end of last season, after the Ohio State game, we went around, we had a bunch of people in here, and we did it, and it was 9-3, 9-3, 9-3, Sterling 15-0, 9-3, 9-3. I said 8-4, and then the guys next to me, Overstreet and Stoll, it was almost like, oh, we have permission, to be honest? 8-4, 8-4. I'm going 8-4. I think absolutely, 9-3, absolutely possible. Absolutely possible. There are just so many question marks for this team. Offensive line, okay, you got to have those guys getting it right, and I've heard bad things about center. Is that going to work? Your receivers, that is a thin group. They haven't been proven in the past, and they haven't had a full off-season in fall camp with their new quarterback, which is another consideration in its own. Yeah. So to me, this is the way I would do it with the Patriots. I'd look at it and say, boy, that's an awful lot of holes. I'm going to lean into the holes because my fear is you haven't had a year at Tennessee under Josh Heupel where you've just been devastated with injuries, which means in my mind you're probably due, and I don't know what the depth is. We'll see. I think 9-3, absolutely possible, but I'm sticking with what I said last January, 8-4. Chuck.
Well, I think Josh and Will are brilliant. I really do. 9-3, and Josh is right. It's chalk, right? I mean, Georgia's won 8 games, 8 straight. So the longest winning streak, and that's 9 in the series. So it's hard to pick against them. The same thing at, the other two, Bama. I mean, that's the toughest one, I think, of all. I think Florida could be the most winnable of the 3, depending on how things play out later this season.
All right, Bob Hodge.
Well, I will join you in the 8-4 club. I've got the same 3 as everybody else, plus I have Oklahoma would be my 4th.
And I didn't say it, but that's who mine was too.
Yeah, that would be the potential one. But I'm like you. I think this could be a 10-2 football team. If you hit on everything, it could possibly be a 10-2 football team. I think there's even a possibility it could be a 7-5 football team. Too. So the question marks that you spoke about, I agree with you 100%. I think there's just too many to say right now. But 3 weeks from now, 4 weeks from now, okay, it all could change because those questions will get answered, at least partially. So I think 8-4 is a good landing spot, 9-3. And if everything lined up, I think you could even be 10-2.
Don't know that I'd go 10-2, but I will say this. Josh Heupel, with the exception of 1 year, he has consistently outgunned my prediction for the season by 1 game. He's always 1 game better, so that would be 9-3 in my prediction. I didn't mention Oklahoma, but that was my 4th as well. And the interesting thing is, I know so many people have said, and you can see it this way, when you're looking at the other guy, how many people have you heard, or how many times have you said, well, Florida and Oklahoma, they could be beaten up by the year's end.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that couldn't happen in Tennessee. Right. I mean, that's where I am. That's where I look at it. Yeah. And I also think you got the best of them last year. I just wonder if they're going to get the best of you this year. It depends on how much Brent Venables allows that offense to be not his. Yeah. You go do what you want. If he pulls a Vanderbilt last year and allows the offensive coordinator to run the thing,
they could be in the playoffs.
They could be in the playoff. They got talent.
Because they brought in the quarterback.
Yeah, but here's the thing. They had a freshman quarterback last year, and they just couldn't manage it, couldn't figure that thing out. In terms of these predictions, I don't see anything wrong. I mean, 9-3, 8-4. The over/under in Vegas has basically been 8.5.
8.5.
So we're right there. I don't see anything wrong. Let's say the bad end of that. Let's say you're 8-4. In a year when your starting quarterback left on the spring game day, you brought in somebody who you did not go after. He was not your first choice.
Or second.
Yeah. You brought in somebody who the other team said, we've seen him for 3 months. We'd rather have Nico Iamaleava. I don't see going through all that. You had all these receivers leaving the portal. Now, you chose not to go out and grab one in the portal, but you had a lot of people leave. You've got natural attrition on the offensive line and turnover there. It's a very young team, talented but young. I don't think 8-4 would be bad.
Oh,
I
no.
know that fans
No,
would scream, but I don't see that as a bad year if you take into account everything that
If your young
happened.
guys, the trajectory is up at the end of the season, and you get them all to come back, then
that's
those
key.
are typically things where you go, hey, man, next year is going to be fun. We're going to be back in the mix. So I think if your trajectory at the end of the season is up and you're 8-4, okay, that's fine. I mean, I think the young, inexperienced guys have to prove themselves, and everybody has said this is the most talented team Heupel has had, top to bottom. It's just got to get on the field and show something.
I think it should be okay, 8-4 this year with everything that you've lost, and you're starting a true freshman at right tackle this year, and you don't know who your center is today.
The receivers are question
Yeah,
marks.
yeah, you lost your top 3 receivers, but if you lose 2 games in November to both Oklahoma and Florida, how many people, as you're building towards the Liberty Bowl, are going to be saying, well, you didn't beat anybody of consequence, especially, and you got worse as the season went along. Whether that's true or not, that could end up
That'll
being
be
the
the
narrative.
perception.
Yeah.
Well, we've seen it work the other way when Tennessee has whipped up on the cupcakes at the end of the year, and everybody says, "Oh, if only we could have played the tough teams later, we're so much better."
Well,
it's like,
and
okay.
plus, if you lose to Oklahoma and Florida in November, let's see where Oklahoma and Florida are at in November.
Yeah.
Because if Oklahoma is a top 10 football team, okay, that's different than the perception of them now. And if Lagway comes out and is a Heisman Trophy candidate quarterback, that changes the perception of Florida. So I think it also depends where are they at. If they're stumbling along at 500 and you lose to them in November, okay, I think that plays in exactly what Will's saying. But the whole thing's got to play out.
Yeah, I would almost say you'd be better off, Josh, if it's 8-4. I would almost say you'd be better off not going with my or Bob's projection, but having Syracuse as one of your losses and not Florida or Oklahoma, because that does change the way, you got it out of your system, you learned, you grew up, and you got better going down.
Yeah, if you could finish out with a win at Florida, let's say the season has not gone how you hoped. If 8-4 is the destination anyway, if you can finish with a win at Florida for the first time in 22 years, that would help the fans' mood. By then, maybe it's a younger quarterback, maybe it's a George McIntyre that gets the win, and that is something to build on into the offseason. 8-4 would not be anything to freak out about. I think, depending on how these teams play out, the good and the bad, it'd be a missed opportunity because Tennessee, without a doubt, has one of the more manageable, I would say easier schedules in conference play. And Syracuse is a projected bottom ACC team. So if you go 8-4 with one of the easier schedules you're going to play in the SEC because it's about to go to 9 games, we'll talk about all the changes that are coming, it's going to get harder. Schedule-wise, this is an opportunity for Tennessee. Let's see if they can take advantage of it.
Yeah, it's, but so much of it rides on how much of the youth is a hit. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. Let's hold off on that when we get to that segment a little bit later. When we come back, which players do we have the most confidence in? Which players do we think are going to be the ones that at the end of the year, they were there for you? Maybe not the best player, but the player you can count on. Who are those guys? That's next on the Sports Source. Come on back. Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by A.G. Heins Company. At the new Sports Source Digital Network studio, we use Nudura concrete forms on the walls. Sturdy as can be, energy efficient. If you are starting a building project, goodness gracious, start it at A.G. Heins Company. Ask about Nudura, sturdy enough to stand up to a hurricane, and we don't even have hurricanes. So you'll be plenty good there. For residential or commercial construction, there's a local school that's being put together, all with Nudura concrete forms. Look it up, and you can find it at A.G. Heins Company. Whatever the building material you're looking for, they've got it. AGHeins.com to learn more. All right, we got a poll question for you today. As we start the season, is Josh Heupel the long-term solution at Tennessee? Your options are absolutely, probably, need more proof, or of course not. So you can already see we got votes. Somebody's been online voting for all of these. Probably is the leader at the moment. Use your smartphone, click the QR code there underneath the Hearthside Bank logo. Play along with us. You can vote, and that helps us know the mood of the people, the mood of our show. And I certainly appreciate that. It's always fun. Plus, you can watch that little orange line move. So go ahead, play that. And you can also go to sportsource.tv and go to the poll section, or ssdn.tv. It takes you to the same place, just quicker. All right. Which players do we have the most confidence in? All right. Now, I'm not talking about All-American. I'm not talking about MVP. We're going to do that in the next segment. I'm talking about guys that steady eddies, if you will. Somebody, I trust this guy. Seems like a good leader. He'll be there. He's dependable. I'm going with this guy. Bob Hodge, we'll start with you.
I'm going to go with my favorite position group is the front seven, so I'm going to go with Arion Carter. I have people who have said he could be the best player on the football team. You know, last year he picked up a lot of experience, probably a little earlier than the coaches, a little more than the coaches really wanted. And I think he got better. I mean, you could see the mistakes he would make during games. And I have heard from people that at practice, he is the steady Eddie, and he's a big-time leader on the defense. So I'm going to go Arion Carter.
All right. Chuck.
Well, you know, I think it's really an interesting question. Who do you know you can count on, right? Who's going to be there? I would be thinking about the guys on that leadership council. The guys that kind of kept everything together. And I think somebody's going to mention Miles Kitselman, correct, at tight end, that stepped forward and said, no, we're not going to put up with some of this stuff. So, yeah, as long as he's healthy, as long as whatever those problems are, 100%. I just hope they use him more.
Kitselman was going to be my guy. So that's where I was going to go. Like Chuck, I like some of the stuff he said in the offseason about when Nico left. It was like, okay, well, you want to be here, you don't. Bye-bye. I think he is a good player. I think his role could be enlarged based on whether or not the receiving core comes through, and also we'll see how much they tweak their offense. I think Kitselman is one of those guys you can count on. I would say, after just seeing it for 1 year, Jermod McCoy, but because of the injury, I can't say that.
Right.
So we'll just say the same name. I'll go with Kitselman as well. Will West.
Arion Carter, he's the leader of the team. Like Bryson Easton told us at Media Days, that is who leads us, is Arion Carter. He's also an all-get-off-the-bus guy. Like, you just look at him and say, NFL player. Yeah. As soon as you lay eyes on him, he's a really smart young man. I was at an event 2 years ago, as he was a freshman coming in, where, very honestly, he kind of snatched up a senior that was acting like a knucklehead. How often do you see guys that are, a rising senior versus a freshman who's a newcomer that kind of snatches the senior up and tells him he needs to act right?
Just the good ones.
That's the kind of guy that Arion Carter is, and that's why he's the one that I would go with. I agree with Bob.
So we got two names so far. What are you doing, Josh?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the guy that I don't think gets as much attention as he probably should. A few weeks ago, Ronnie Garner tried to give him a little bit more at the podium, and that is Don Bailey. He is a sixth-year senior. He's played a lot. He's continued to develop over the years. So I don't know that he's the best player on the defensive line, but I do think he is one of the most reliable guys, versatile, and really important to what we talk about with the Tennessee defense, the depth and the amount of pieces they have up front. So Don Bailey.
So we've got three guys we named. Two people went Kitselman on the offense, two people went Arion Carter on defense.
And I would take T-Lander as well. I think the linebacking core you can feel really good about.
Well, this was where I was going to go with that, though. All right, so on offense, Miles Kitselman. Who else on the offense can you depend on at this point? And this gets back to why I went with 8 and 4. Because you're going to hit on some of these guys you don't know anything about, but you're also going to miss on some.
I don't think this is saying he is going to be an All-American.
Oh, you've got one. Okay.
Well, I think Deshaun Bishop.
Yeah.
I mean,
Bishop would have been my answer.
He is a solid SEC running back.
Yeah.
You can depend on him to get you 4 or 5 yards. He doesn't turn the ball over. He's dependable.
But just because you also think Peyton Lewis is going to be the leading rusher.
I think he is, but I went with Deshaun Bishop because I've seen more of him. Yeah. And when he's healthy, he is a very, very solid player. So I think that makes him a very dependable player.
I get that. I don't know what his role is going to be this year. Is he 1? Is he 2? Is he 3 by the end of the year? I don't know.
But we at least know he can play at this level.
So Bishop, Kitselman, anybody else?
Bishop would be the guy I would point to.
Would you put Lance Hurd out there just because
not based on what we've seen.
Because I've
heard good things.
Yeah. Right.
I've heard good things.
Exactly. I've got to see him do it.
There's way too much newness on the offensive side. There are so few players coming back that have done anything. Chris Brazzell is not an answer here. Peyton Lewis, by the end of the season, we might say that about him. We might say that about Lance Hurd. I'm kind of saving a guy for newcomer, but I would say the name.
We can just wait.
Okay.
We'll do it the next segment.
Because
you could say this is
I'll
my
explain
newcomer.
why.
And there you go.
There you go.
I'll start. We won't start with you, but I'll let you get to it.
Okay.
All right. When we come back, who's going to be this team's MVP? When we look back in December at the regular season that has just finished, who's going to be the MVP? Who's going to be the top newcomer, the freshman or the transfer who stands out? Who was Josh going to throw out as dependable and a newcomer? We got that next on the Sports Source. Come on back. Welcome back in. This segment of our show brought to you by Uncle Jim's River Cove Campground. If you're looking for some outdoor adventure in the heart of the Smokies on a beautiful river, but still just minutes away from all the top attractions, well, hell, bingo. I got a place that does all four of those things. Uncle Jim's River Cove Campground. You need to lock in your campsite or your RV spot right now. Visit rivercovecampground.com today. You'll be glad you did. Okay, folks, when the curtain falls on the 2025 season, who will we look back on and say, and I'm going to flip this a little bit. We'll start with the newcomer because that's where you were going to go. We'll just pick it up where we left off. Who will we look back and say, this was the top newcomer, and then also you said you would list them as dependable.
Yeah.
That smells like a transfer to me, so go ahead.
Yeah, Wendell Moy on the offensive line. He has a lot of experience at guard at Arizona, and I think he'll be a really good pickup for Tennessee. I think he'll perform well. So I think he'll be the newcomer of the year. That could help solidify what Tennessee's offensive line is this season, and I think he'll be a guy that's dependable because of how much experience he has and how he's performed well so far in camp and everything that we've heard.
That's what I was going to say. That may be I've heard good things about David Sanders, but he's true freshman still. Mm-hmm. Lance Hurd, hearing really good things about him, but we need to see it. We need to see it so we can get the taste out of our eyes from last year. But Wendell Moy performed at Arizona. We went and got him for a reason, and I've not heard anybody. It's like
no news is good news at interior offensive line.
That position was locked down, and we've not heard a thing about it.
And could play on either side. He could play left or right guard, depending on what they end up doing with other personnel. Of course, injuries could occur. So I just think he was a really important pickup. We don't talk about interior offensive linemen enough, and he's important for what Tennessee's going to do.
That's a good one. Top newcomer, Wendell Moy. All right, Will West, you were kind enough to cede your opening slot to Josh. Where are you going with top newcomer?
Joey Aguilar. I think he's going to have a really good year. I think that this offense is really conducive to your quarterback putting up some numbers. If you can get that out of Joe Milton, if you can get those numbers out of Nico last year, I think that Joey Aguilar is going to throw for 2,800, 3,000 yards and over 20 touchdowns, and he'll keep the interceptions down-ish like he did 2 years ago at Appalachian State.
Okay, very good. Joey Aguilar. Well, that's the most important one. If you come back at the end of the year and he was your top newcomer, you've probably had a 9-3 or better season. So that would be the one everybody should be hoping for. Chuck.
Do we need to say David Sanders at right tackle? I mean, with all you invested NIL-wise to bring him in, and that was such a position that hurt you time after time after time, right tackle. As far as top newcomer and what he can be, and he's added some strength, some weight. I think he's going to be the guy that stands out.
Okay.
I don't think that's a bad choice. I mean, he's been here, gotten bigger, like you said. But I'm going to go.
I was going to go with the guy you're going to go with. So this would be
Travis
two of us.
Smith Jr.?
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody who has seen practice and seen scrimmages says this guy is fantastic. And Heupel has a history of not playing freshman young receivers. Did it last year. But from what people have said, he's dynamic. Great hands, goes up in traffic and catches the football. So I'm going to put him down. I haven't seen him, but from what people have said, people I trust, I'm going to go with Travis Smith Jr.
Everybody says he looks the part. Now, the problem with that one is, as you said, he doesn't like to play young guys.
Yeah.
But you are so razor thin. Braylon Staley has not proven to be dependable in terms of he had injuries in the spring, he had injuries in fall camp. Mike Matthews was in a knee brace for a while. Brazel missed a bunch of fall camp. So I think by default, you're going to get down there and Travis Smith and Rodarius Jackson are going to get some snaps. So I think Travis Smith's
and if Will's choice pans out the way Will says it can, then that'll lean into Smith Jr. having a good shot at being a top newcomer.
I'll throw out another one just to be different. Colton Hood, who you brought in from Colorado.
Yeah.
I'm going to give them a little bit benefit of the doubt here. They went out and got Jacoby Thomas a couple of years ago. I'm just talking about defensive backs. I didn't think that one was a great pickup from MTSU. It's like, okay, we'll see what he got. He's pretty good.
Yeah.
You go out and get Jermod McCoy, and that was eye-opening good. That was all SEC good.
No question of last year's newcomer of the year.
Yes. So to me, I'm gonna say, all right, they've seen this guy on tape like they did those other guys. They know how to use these guys. I'm going to put a little bit of faith in Colton Hood in the secondary for Tennessee as top newcomer. Okay. When we come back, this weekend's game the most I don't know what to expect game since Josh Heupel's arrival on Rocky Top, his debut game 5 years ago. We'll talk about that next. All the unknowns with Tennessee, and will we get the answers we want against Syracuse? Come on back. Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Southeast Termite and Pest Control. Football season is here, and that means the fall invaders will soon arrive. Stink bugs, ladybugs, box elder bugs. You just say the word bugs, and I don't want them in my house. But those three in particular like to get in there. They like to lay eggs, and then in January, you're sharing your bedroom window with 250 million ladybugs. Not interested in that. Just don't let them turn your home into their winter bed and breakfast. Keep them out. Get the fall invader treatment from Southeast Termite and Pest Control. I do it every fall, and it has made a huge difference from the days when I didn't do it. And I just had all the windowsills covered in ladybugs and stink bugs. And it's like, okay, let's just get rid of these guys to begin with. Southeast Termite and Pest Control, they take care of my house. They'll take care of your house. All you got to do, visit them online, southeasttermite.com. Okay, I am really looking forward to this game, because I don't feel like I've got a good grasp on what we're going to see. You've got a brand new quarterback who literally glass half full, glass half empty. You can spin it this way. You can say, ooh, 56 touchdown passes, man, and now he's got talent around him. Or you can say, ooh, 24 interceptions, and now he's got more talent on the defense going against him. You got an offensive line that's got all kinds of new guys starting, even though some of them are transferring in that were good. We just said the same thing about Lance Hurd last year, and that didn't work out great, that we said about Wendell Moore here. You never know with these guys. You look at receiver, none of those guys proved themselves, as Josh mentioned earlier. I can't think of a game where I've gone into it with less knowledge of what I'm going to see since Josh Heupel's debut. And we knew, okay, he runs this up-tempo offense, but we hadn't seen it in the orange and white. So it was, okay, we got to get a feel for it. How fast is it? That kind of stuff. Has there been another game between then and now that had more question marks that were going to be answered? I mean, I look at even Ohio State last year. It's like, well, you didn't know if Ohio State was going to be into it. You didn't know who was going to play for Tennessee. That's a little different. You knew Ohio State was going to be really good. Yeah. You knew Tennessee was a pretty good football team. I don't know about this one. Can you think of another game? Is this the biggest, holy smokes, we're going to find some stuff out, Chuck?
Yes, I think so. Just because there's so much newness across the board, especially offense, that we've talked about, over and over, just because it's true. There's a lot of similarities to Tennessee and Syracuse, naming a transfer quarterback that seemed to be the guy.
They both lost the exact same stuff on offense.
Syracuse bringing in 5 transfers, offensive line. But you go down the line, I mean, even both of them have new special teams coaches, which could be a factor before we see. But, yeah, I mean, how can you, especially with Jermod McCoy out, don't know about when he'll be back. Will Brooks back there at safety, who's going to fill that kind of void. So, yeah, I think it is. And last year, didn't we think NC State, they weren't as good as advertised? Right. Maybe a little. That would be the one that would come the closest, especially based on ranking. But that proved to be, paper tiger.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I think it is.
And then you throw in that they've supposedly been tweaking the offense. Don't really know exactly what those tweaks are going to be. Over the past couple of years, they've ran a lot more 2 tight end sets, okay? Because your receivers haven't been proven. Do you go even harder in that direction? So you got the personnel questions, and then you don't really know what they're going to come out there and run. I think you got a decent idea, but they've changed some things.
That's the key. The new offensive system and the fact that the players have talked about the new offense left and right. most of us over the summer thinking new offensive line, freshman right tackle, new quarterback. They're not going to be able to go tempo. It'll be what it looked like last year. And then to hear them last week talk about getting used to the tempo, especially Joey Aguilar, because Appalachian State snapped the ball with 24, 25 seconds left in the play clock most plays. Appalachian State went at a faster tempo than Tennessee last year. So when Aguilar talks about getting used to the tempo that Tennessee's at, I don't know if Tennessee's going to run back at snapping the ball 29, 30 seconds in the play clock again.
And if you talk to Kevin Simon, which we did on the Sports Source Digital Network, he's like, you're not going to go tempo if you're not getting the big plays. So maybe they're counting on the big plays, and it's going to come back with Joey Aguilar. Certainly possible. We showed you a few weeks ago on this show. The throws that he makes that Nico didn't, deep left and deep right. His completion percentage isn't as good as Nico, but those deep balls down the left and right, okay, you hit one of those extra a game, you've changed your offense. But
Maybe
I don't know.
they all can't get used to going so slow.
That's it. But Josh, this new offense, I just don't trust that Josh Heupel is going to chuck out his offense. So what does new offense mean? Are we going to throw in some pistol? Is that what we're talking about?
Levels concept like Levy did at Ole Miss.
What's it going to be?
Yeah, that's why I think that, yes, to answer your question, this is the most unknown since the start when Josh Heupel arrived. I think 2023 is comparable because at that point the defense had not taken the jump where we've seen the last couple of seasons. So we were wondering, okay, can this defense improve? There was a different kind of intrigue about Joe. We knew about his physical tools. Was that going to blossom into an elite offense while they had to replace Hendon and Jalen Hyatt, the Bolitnikoff Award winner? And it didn't really in terms of the ceiling that had been reached.
Because they changed the rule and said you couldn't play with an orange.
Right, yes.
They let him throw an orange.
Yeah, it would have been unstoppable, honestly. So, but I would still say Joe stepping back in doesn't compare to a quarterback arriving 2.5 months ago and taking over the offense.
Yeah. I will say this. If Josh Heupel, I mean, he got a team to 11-2. Right? He got a team last year to the playoffs at 10-2. Considering all the newcomers, considering the Boo Carter stuff in the offseason, considering the Nico thing, if he holds this all together and he gets to 9-3, where does that rank in terms of the jobs he's done? Because you're not going to put it ahead of a playoff, I don't guess, that he got there with the defense last year.
Right.
But this is an incredibly young team. If he gets to 9-3,
I would say it's his second best, but I would put it ahead of last year. I would. I mean, he got to the playoff, but a lot of that's your schedule because schedules aren't necessarily equal anymore. Yeah. But you had talent last year, and you've lost depth on the defensive side of the football in that front seven that does not exist this year.
Well, and we're talking about the holes, the question marks on the offensive line. We're not even talking about the depth of the offensive line. Right. That's just the first wave of guys. So, yeah, I think if he does manage to get to 9-3, which everybody's going to be kind of, oh, ho-hum, that's not great, but it's okay. If he gets 9-3, that's a heck of a coaching job because there are a lot of. I can tell you this: there's not a coach in the country who would want to say, "Yes, it's the spring game. I hope my quarterback leaves in a surprise move." Nobody wants that.
Yeah, especially if the offense is as good or better compared to last year, with the changes that we're talking about. If he's able to get that out of it this year, then that would rank very high.
All right.
No, if he does that, I think that makes him a top 7, 8, 9 coach in the country if he can do what Josh did.
Maybe
Let me give you another possible top newcomer. Depending on what this offense does this year, he's an analyst, but Seth Littrell, however it pronounces it, that's a guy who we may look back and say, oh, you brought in this new guy and some of these things got tweaked. Now, maybe that's him, maybe it's not him, but that's one guy who is a difference over there that we'll have to look back at the year's end and say, I wonder if he was behind this or that.
I loved what he did at Oklahoma. I loved the way he tweaked what Jeff Levy did as the OC. They just couldn't block. And if you can't block, you can't run anything. If you have the mid-90s Cowboys offensive line, you could run the eye all day long. But they couldn't block it. They had a quarterback that couldn't run it. They would change his tempo depending on what Brent Venables wanted from his defense. But I loved, it was kind of almost a cross between what Heupel does and what Al Borges did with Auburn in 2004 with some of that Gulf Coast stuff, and I absolutely loved it.
That's so we were talking about players and we did that segment, but I didn't throw out coaches, so this was a good way to cover that back up. All right, when we come back, we've got just some amazing stats, some numbers for you that if Tennessee does this, their record is this. If Tennessee does that, their record is that. It'll blow your mind, and it's 8 numbers that we're going to track all season long on the Sports Source every post-game Sunday. We'll tell you what they are, and you can start watching them, looking for them against Syracuse next weekend. That's next. Come on back. Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Madisonville Marine Skeeter Bass Boats, G3 John Boats, Hurricane Deck Boats, Creval Fishing Boats, Suncatcher Pontoons, Sweetwater Aqua Patio Pontoons. Bob Hodge, what type of boat do you have?
G3.
G3. And that's the other thing. New boats, pre-owned boats, any kind of boat you could want. They may even carry arcs for when it's raining. Madmarine.com, you can visit them right there, but I suggest you go down to Highway 411 North in Madisonville, see Joe Special and his team face to face, and you will look at a bunch of different makes and models of boats, more than you'll find at any other boat store anywhere from Georgia to Nashville, I tell you that. Madisonville Marine, there's no better place to buy a boat. Okay, let's take a look at the poll results. I forgot to remind you about them a couple of breaks ago. I'm sure my director put it up as normal, and I just went right through it. So let's see, it wound up. Absolutely, he's the long-term solution. Do you agree with the absolutely he's the long-term solution?
Yeah, as much as anyone's long-term solution, I would say yes.
I do too.
Yeah,
I'm like,
right now.
what more do you need right now? That is a big percentage, bigger than I expected. I thought it would wind up with probably. I thought that would be the leader. But instead, absolutely, he's the guy. Shows he's got a lot of people behind him.
And I think they remember where this program came from 5 years ago and what he inherited and where he's brought it to.
That dude just got to the playoff.
Yeah.
I sat through that Georgia State game. It was, you know what I mean?
He's won 30 games in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
So,
If that ain't your long-term solution.
Good luck finding one better
I mean,
right
you're
now.
just going to get back on that merry-go-round. So anyway, thanks for playing along. We appreciate it. See, that's what happens when you put that in there. We're surprised by it. So, and we'll be able to bring that back out if somewhere at the end of the season he's not the guy. And I can say, but you said. Okay, in this segment, I have I've got some stats that I want to show. I'll reveal the numbers here. I'm just going to hold them up one at a time. But I want you guys to just react naturally. You haven't seen these, haven't heard these, but I found them fascinating. And these are all from Josh Heupel's 4 years. So these are all combined over his 4 years. Tennessee's record when allowing 27 points or fewer. Any guesses? Under
Not
27.
Good. Not good.
No, allowing under 27.
Under
No, I'm
27.
gonna guess it's pretty good. I'd
Right.
say,
I would say
in
pretty
3
darn
years
good.
they've lost 7 or 8 games.
Maybe undefeated.
Allowing under 27.
33-2, yeah.
2 when
Yeah.
allowing under 27 points.
Wow.
Pretty good
No,
threshold there.
That is,
Pretty good. What is their record when scoring 30 or more under Josh Heupel? 4 years. He's 37-15 overall.
I would say very good. I don't remember a lot of losses where they scored a ton of points. If the offense was working, they usually won. If the offense wasn't
Right.
working, they usually lost.
And
I'm going to go with they lost 3.
And I can, yeah, it's one
I
of
can
those.
think of
I can
2.
only remember a handful.
They were-
of the game that they lost.
They were all in the first 2 years.
Right, 32-3.
Wow.
32-3
got
when
the
scoring
3
30
right.
points. Pittsburgh,
Yeah.
year 1.
Yeah.
Purdue in the bowl game, year 1. And then year 2, South Carolina. Because everybody says, well, they stole your offensive signals. Your offense scored 35. It was the
Yeah.
defense that got whooped. All right. Tennessee's record when allowing 99 or fewer rush yards. If they hold you under 3 digits
Gotta be
rushing,
pretty good.
Yeah, you've only lost once or twice when you do that.
Yeah,
I
I
mean, we've seen the
A
I'm
token
gonna
game
go
or
with 5.
two
They've
that
lost
I'm not
5
thinking
times.
about as well. So.
I think it's less than 5. 21-2.
You're right.
I mean,
okay,
Two.
Chuck, don't read it before we put it up. Let the people see it. There we go. Because it's like before it gets up there, you're like, 21-2. Do it like this. All right, here
we're
we go.
excited. We're excited.
All
It's
right.
fun.
Here's an interesting one that you can follow along this season. Tennessee's record when their quarterbacks complete at least 65% of their passes.
Oh, that's going to be good. Somebody else go.
So a few more losses than we might think. I'll say 7 or 8 losses.
No, it's less than that.
You'll go 7 or 8.
I'd cut that in half.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I don't know who's seeing what. Completion percentage of 65% or better.
Oh,
Their record under
21.
Josh Heupel, 21-4.
Okay, cut it in half.
Pretty good.
Right
yeah,
there.
nice.
Nice job.
He's got a calculator for a brain. Wait a second. You're not wearing some sort of AI device.
Chuck's giving me signals over there.
Tennessee's record
Record.
when rushing for 177 or more yards.
Oh.
177 is an odd number, but there's a reason I went there.
Yeah, I'm going to say 1 or 2 losses
Yeah.
because 177 is a
I'm
lot.
setting out. Me and you talked about this. So I disqualify them.
I think it's close to
Actually, we
undefeated.
didn't.
Yeah.
This one you didn't. I didn't tell you
Yeah.
this. I told you one of these yesterday.
Oh, okay.
And I
back
just said
in.
nobody's seen it, so now they're not going to believe
Well,
me.
we've seen so many 2
You
and
didn't
3
see it.
losses. I'm going to go with 2 or 3.
Well, of course. All right.
Losses.
31-2, and they rushed for
Wow.
177. So if they get to 177 against Syracuse,
Chalk it up, baby.
chalk it up. All right. This is pretty good. Allowing 349 or fewer total yards. So if you hold the other team to
wow.
under 350, what's their record? If Syracuse doesn't get to 350, it's going to be a good day for Tennessee.
Okay, under 350 in this day
they-
and
I
age,
think
are
we're
you
still looking at 1 or
undefeated?
2.
I'd still
Are you
use that
undefeated?
phone.
Maybe 3.
No, that's
losses.
too many.
Everybody's
I'm
talking.
going to go with 6.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
24-1.
In this day and age, yeah.
When you hold them to under 350, 24-1. So if Tennessee could just
Wow.
rush for 177 and then hold Syracuse to under 350, it's a
Yeah,
blowout.
book it, baby.
Okay, here's an interesting one. And this one I can tell you, this one's not a 1 or 2 like all the rest. Tennessee's record when committing 8 or fewer penalties in a game. 8 or fewer.
God, has that ever happened?
3-1. That's what I say. Not happened a lot.
8 or fewer penalties?
4 losses,
24-6.
24 and 6.
24-6.
So you literally can put
Yeah.
together sort of a skeleton of how their games
Hey,
go, right?
we can
That's
have,
the,
we
that's
can
the idea,
have,
and that's what we're going to do every Sunday.
we can have the Pennington Maxims.
Okay, well, that's what these are. We did this a couple of years ago with 4 other stats. Now
Right.
we're just expanding the stats this year.
Right.
Here's the last one. Tennessee's record when they rush for at least 3 touchdowns in a game. When they rush for 3 touchdowns in a game, what is their record?
Undefeated.
Yeah, something close to that. Maybe the odd loss, but yeah.
I would say 1 loss or fewer.
22-0.
Run the ball.
22-0 when they rush for 3 touchdowns.
3
That's,
touchdowns or
that's
more.
the one I told you on
That's
the
the
phone.
one you told me.
Yeah.
That's the reason I sat there silently. I knew that one.
22-0.
Chuck
Just-
gave me $20 to tell him.
Yeah, that's how he guessed it. I think that's just fascinating. I think all those are pretty
Oh, I do
fascinating.
too.
But
I do
absolutely,
too.
you
I
can
do
sit
too.
there at home with your own checklist. Cross
Yeah.
that, it's a victory. So we'll be tracking those on the Sports Source all fall long when we're sitting here with 15 of us every Sunday doing a post-game show for 90 minutes. When we come back, and we got more UT stuff to come, by the way. We're going to do the first Cavaliers line of the season. I've got everybody's votes in. We got our picks. So we'll tell you our picks for Syracuse. We'll tell you what the line is, and we'll bet against it. Also, when we come back, the SEC finally goes to a 9-game conference schedule. Who are the winners and losers in that deal? Come back in a second on the Sports Source. Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Hearthside Bank. When it comes to banking in East Tennessee and southeastern Kentucky, do yourself a favor. Compare your bank to Hearthside Bank. Hearthside offers everything yours does, financial planning, mortgages, business banking. But they offer more. They offer personal care. Personal care you get from a 105-year-old bank, because you don't reach 105 years old if you don't really connect and care about your customers. Hearthside Bank takes care of the people who bank with them, and they have for more than a century. Hearthsidebank.com to learn more, and you can see them right here in Knoxville if you head out to Farragut. They got a local branch, but they're all over East Tennessee and southeastern Kentucky. All right, gentlemen, we're a little behind, so we'll be kind of quick here. That's for the next segment.
Oh, okay.
So the conferences really want their money, as we all know. After saying they could stay at a 12-team playoff, we could stay at a 12-team playoff. It doesn't matter. Yeah. Basically, everything shifted this week to make sure they don't have to stay at a 12-team playoff. The Big Ten had said no to a 16-team playoff with 11 at-large bids unless the SEC went to a 9-game conference schedule. The SEC said we're not going to a 9-game conference schedule unless that selection process has something about scheduling strength in there. And then this week, the selection process got added a scheduling component. The SEC the next day says, okay, we're going to a 9-game schedule. So my guess is the next thing you're going to hear is the Big Ten saying 16-team playoff and we'll do 11 at-large bids. My question, though, who are the winners and the losers? One, I'm a winner because I've been wanting to cover better games.
Yes,
I've been
right.
pounding the desk for 9 games forever. So big winner, Johnny.
Big winner, Bob, too.
Yeah.
Because that's a better game in Neyland Stadium.
Right.
So winners would be
Yes.
fans.
That's what I
Fans
had
are the
first. The
Exactly.
fans were the
I
big
mean,
winners.
I think this gets one of those horrible games out of your. It doesn't matter if it is Vandy at its very worst. I would rather see that than
New
some
Mexico
of these
State.
New Mexico
TSU.
State,
Yeah. Well,
exactly.
and
You know, the
Or New
Kent
Mexico
States,
State or
all
UAB.
that stuff. So
The
yes.
big winner's the fans because you're going to get more quality games.
Yes.
But the loser is the coaches. The coaches politicked
Yeah.
against this because they wanted that game to be able to play their freshmen,
Correct.
rest their starters, and get their freshmen work and get their backups work. And
Or
they wanted
just get
all
the
of that
win.
stuff.
They just want the win.
They
I don't
want the
buy
win.
Oh,
that.
I was told by from three
Well, they
different
may
people
tell
in
you
that
but I don't
world
buy it.
that, how are we supposed to get our freshmen work? And I'm like, are you paying attention to the health of your sport? You can't do that.
I think they like having 3 or 4 automatic wins a year.
And maybe
That's
they
my
do,
guess.
and you'll get that still. But the coaches politicked and lobbied for this. They changed Greg Sankey's mind at SEC meetings,
Mm-hmm.
and they weren't able to get this through the pass through.
Fans, these are the biggest winner fans,
Fans.
biggest loser SEC coaches. Go ahead, Chuck.
I think the rivalries, and we'll be talking about it later, I know. I think that's a big winner because you're going to get to see not only your big rivals, but you're going to bring in some that used to be.
You'll see everybody within twice in a 4-year stretch.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Instead
yeah.
of having to wait 16 years or whatever it was, 14 years. So, yeah, I think the rival really stands out
But
big
I
on
think
that.
the preservation of them too,
Right.
because I think a lot of people, Tennessee and Alabama may not be played every year. I think that would have been horrible. And so, yeah, the fact that those games do get saved
Right.
is a fantastic thing.
I agree.
Any other winners and losers, Josh?
Yeah, among programs in college football, I think the haves win, the have-nots will not. I think
Yeah.
the haves with the money and the resources, you know who the big programs are in college football. You tell them, can you get into the top 16 if we're expecting inevitable expansion? That's very doable. So not all of them are going to do it, and some will lose. But even when the coaches can't get it done at those big programs, they're going to get huge checks to go home. So the big programs, and Tennessee can be in that haves category, zoom out, big picture, they will win from this because they'll have more playoff appearances, they'll get more cash with it, and they'll grow from there.
And the TV networks.
ESPN is a winner. They're paying
better
more, but
games
they get.
Said if you're
Yes.
sitting at home watching football, you'll have better games.
It also, for ESPN, this would increase as much as expanding the playoff undercuts the regular season. I mean, again, I know people here don't understand the Ohio State-Michigan thing. I lived up there. The fact that Ohio State could lose to Michigan, lose another game, have 2 losses, and win a national championship and not care about the Michigan loss, that is a fundamental change to college football. So this strikes back at that a little bit because you're going to get better regular season games. So that's a little bit of push toward keeping the regular season important. I don't know that it matters in terms of who will win a championship, but it's at least better games in the regular season, so the ESPNs of the world do win. I'll give you 2 more. SEC coffers, because you're getting more money from the SEC. You're going to get a bunch of guys in a 16-team playoff with 11 at-large bids. I think the SEC wins in this. And I think the losers, people who expect undefeated seasons, who walk around saying, well, this guy can't get it done. He loses 2 games a year.
Yeah.
I think you better be celebrating anybody who loses 2 games a year because in this setup, it's going to be tougher for anybody to just march through the league.
Right.
And it's going to be tougher with a transfer portal on top of this. The teams you're playing, the transfer portal, I don't think you're going to see teams be as consistent as they've been in the past. I think it's going to be much more like the NFL where you're up for a couple of years and you go back down. So just a guess. We'll see. When we come back, the SEC is going to give Tennessee 3 permanent rivals. Who will those permanent rivals be? We'll tell you who we would pick. If we were running the SEC on behalf of Tennessee, who would we be picking as their rivals? We'll tell you next. Come on back.
And because of the way you come comfortable with the offense, you can pretty much determine where the ball's going to be placed after your second step in your drop. Now, the blessing they have in this offense, you're going to be in the shotgun a lot of times. So you can see a lot of things. The defenses, they're going to move around, and you can get a good, by the time the ball hits your hands, you got an idea where that ball's going. It's a matter of placing an accurate pass. But those things happen off those reps that are outside of practice.
But I'm going to go defense here, and I'm going to go with Andre Turrentine. I think
Not what I was saying.
I think a strong candidate to lead the team in interceptions, and also a dark horse candidate to lead the team in tackles if Arion Carter were to ever get banged up, or maybe even either way.
So let's just set the bar and let's set the easy question. 41's the average. Let's go with 41. Chuck Cavaleris,
Yes, sir.
bat leadoff. Are the Vols going to drop at least 41 against the Orange at Mercedes-Benz Stadium?
I tell you what, when I look at this, my temptation is to say no.
But at some point in time, the entire experience, from paying the park to paying for food to buying your ticket, you're at the point now I think people are priced out.
That's what went on this week at the Sports Source Digital Network. All kinds of programming there, free on demand on our YouTube channel. You can go check it out. Just search Sports Source Digital Network when you go to YouTube. And it's content all day and all night whenever you want it. This segment of the Sports Source brought to you by Safety Systems. It's football time in Tennessee, and to celebrate, Safety Systems is offering any new customers 90 free days of monitoring on one of their security systems. 3 months free, folks. Call Safety Systems this week, and VFL J.J. Surlis and his team will take good care of you. I promise you that. Safety Systems. Okay, we've tried to reach a consensus on this debate in the past. As a matter of fact, stay with the wide shot. I forgot to do something. As I run it into Josh, you can sue me for whiplash. I would suggest you call Marcos Garza. Okay. This is the number of teams the number of times Tennessee has played all their SEC rivals. So Kentucky 120, Vandy 118, Alabama 107, and then on down the line, I've got a little light there. Don't know what's happening.
There we go.
It's all right. You can read it. Well, you can read it if I step out of the way. So anyway, I want to know, we've done this before where we've tried to get the group to have a consensus. I don't know if everybody was on that show or not. We rotate so much. So what I'm going to do instead is, that's who you played the most. Tennessee, a couple of years ago, they came out and said it would be Vanderbilt, Alabama, and South Carolina who you would probably get. Now, the SEC has let it leak now that we're probably not going to go with that same group. We may have adjusted things. Greg Sankey has talked about leaning into historical rivalries, which I would like. Josh, we'll start with you. Actually, let's start with Bob down here. Bob, I'm going to start with you. Which three permanent rivals, if you were picking this for Tennessee?
If I'm picking this for Tennessee, I'm going to go with Vanderbilt, Alabama, and Florida. And Vanderbilt would be my number 3 on that list. They would be the one most likely to be shoved out, but I would keep Alabama for every reason everybody knows. Yeah. Florida, because over the past 35 years, that has become, I think, you're almost as big a rival as Alabama. And then Vanderbilt, because they're in-state.
Yeah.
That is simply the reason I keep Vandy. They're in-state, so go ahead and play your in-state SEC rival.
Vandy, Alabama, Florida.
Yes.
Okay, those are the 3 for Bob.
Right.
Chuck.
All right, I think we're all pretty much going to be going on the Alabama, right? That's not just one of the biggest rivalries in the SEC. That's one of the biggest rivals in college football.
Okay.
And then I've got Vanderbilt again, in-state, easy drive either way. I think you got to keep that. And I've got Kentucky with an asterisk. And the asterisk is they got to bring back the beer barrel. And if they don't, we're going to boot them for Ole Miss.
Oh, man, all right.
Okay.
Here we go.
I'm going a little odd here. And I believe, as I said, I'm a big believer in the traditional rivals. However, I find nothing interesting about Vanderbilt ever, ever. If they left the conference tomorrow, I would be a happy man. I just don't find them interesting. I almost said Florida. In fact, I had Florida written down here as the 3rd, behind Kentucky and Alabama. But instead, go a little different way just to generate a little conversation. Kentucky, Alabama, Auburn instead of Florida because Auburn was that traditional rival before Florida, and it's unusual. If you look here, Tennessee has played Auburn, Florida, and Georgia 54 times each, every one. It was Auburn, and then Florida kind of took their place as the season opener for years and years and years. That was a heated rivalry with Auburn. Also, the other reason I would pick Auburn, it's an easier drive than Gainesville.
Yes.
That's easier travel for both sets of fans.
I have no problem with Auburn being on that list. I think that's a good choice.
I also think Kentucky is weak. Alabama is strong. Auburn's kind of right there in the middle. And a lot of times Auburn is right there with you. Yeah. When you're up, they're up. When you're down, they're down. It's been a lot of good games between Tennessee and Auburn over the years. So I would go Kentucky, Alabama, Auburn. Will, who are you going with?
I'm going to go with Vanderbilt, Alabama, and Kentucky. And this one kind of hurts because for people my age and younger, I think a lot of us, the Florida game is bigger than the Alabama game. But I know historically you also need to sell TV contracts. The Alabama-Tennessee game draws nationally.
Yeah. Right.
So I went with that one. And I am of the belief that the SEC in college football they need to be intentional about preserving regional historic rivals.
Yeah.
So that because of the border with Kentucky, that's why I went there. Vanderbilt's your in-state rival, even though I don't think they should be in the SEC anymore. But they are there. So those are the three that I went with.
Josh Ward.
Okay, so I'm not choosing between Alabama and Florida. I'm choosing both.
All right.
As a 5-day-a-week radio talk show host, the Alabama and Florida game creates more interest than any other opponents for Tennessee. Year in, year out, you can find differences, but Kentucky does absolutely nothing for me. I like the idea of the barrel coming back, but to me that has lost a ton of significance because
Thank you.
if it just stays in the same city for potentially 10 years, 15 years,
But it's a trophy.
It is a
trophy
You don't
game.
have trophies in this league.
yeah, well, Tennessee has it. They can put it out for everybody to see.
And they should. I called for that. They
Yeah,
should
yeah.
bring it out
So,
and not let Kentucky play.
If Kentucky had it and you wanted the game to be there so you could get it back, that's one thing. But Tennessee already has it, and they're going to keep it. So that game does nothing for me. Vandy barely does, but I'm just helping the in-state school there, I guess.
Exactly. That's
If,
the
if
reason I
Diego
was
Pavia
sharing,
could
yeah.
be the every-year quarterback, but
Otherwise,
yeah,
it's just
Alabama and
philanthropy.
Florida, to me, are head and shoulders above everybody else in the SEC in terms of the interest that those games draw.
We brought this up on Friday in our show, who should they choose? And I said Kentucky, and I mean hundreds upon hundreds of people texting saying, why in the world are you trying to get rid of the Florida game? I would rather have Florida than Alabama.
Well, you're still going to have
Yeah.
Florida occasionally.
It's all about
right?
it. It's all about your age.
Right.
It is.
Right.
I
Now-
mean, you're going to have everybody occasionally.
Right.
We did. This is how it's flipped, though. You've got that's people of a certain group. I had Ollie Lane on our digital network, and we did a John Wilkerson and I sat down with him. We talked about Tennessee's biggest rivals today, and I wanted a recent player on there. I said, "Who's the bigger rival? Florida?" I expected him to say Florida. He's like, "No, it's Alabama. It's whoever beats you." That you've kind of caught up to Florida a little bit. They haven't. They've been struggling. They're kind of in the Butch zone, Butch Jones, Derek Dooley wilderness that you came out of. That's where they are right now, or where they've been the last decade or so. So they're no longer the top dog for the youngest, for the now generation. I think the previous generation loved Florida, and I think the generation before that loved Auburn and Ole Miss more than they loved Florida and Georgia.
Right.
Yeah.
So I just think that's a generational thing. But the Kentucky deal, I know this. I grew up in Middlesboro a long time, part of my youth. So I know how much passion there is in that
Yeah.
town. It is a split, man, and the two sides do not like each other. You go to Nashville. Is it even a split?
No, it's Tennessee. Really?
No. So at least Kentucky is plus it's your biggest basketball rival. So I like having a rival in both sports. But I don't have
I tried
any
to find a
interest
little
in Vandy.
balance. I would actually like to trade out Vandy for Auburn. That would interest me more. But
Yeah.
Fans would
And
scream
if-
Alabama, Auburn, and Florida.
If you were,
Yeah, it's too hard.
going to create one, Texas.
I agree with
It's
that.
going to reach in and say, okay, everybody's going to have a new rival. Texas would be
The
good.
tough part with Texas
the two
is
UTs.
they have to play Arkansas, they have to play A&M, they have to play Oklahoma,
Yeah.
because the SEC doesn't hate money.
Yeah, and that's the thing. For anybody who complains about, well, we're going to get stuck with, look at Texas. They're going to get A&M, Oklahoma, and Arkansas. Those are all three pretty good. Alabama's going to get probably LSU, Tennessee, and Auburn. I think it should be Mississippi State instead of LSU, but TV's going to say LSU.
Yeah.
So, I don't think anybody who cries about our
And how
schedule's too
long
tough
before
will
the
have a leg
old
to stand on.
Southwest Conference comes back?
When we come back, oh boy, time for the first Cavaliers line of the season. Tennessee versus Syracuse. Where's he going to set the line, and what are the rest of us going to do? We've got some new rules this year, too. Nobody's going to go all in and destroy the fun of the game. Come on back, and we'll do the Cavaliers line. Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Games and Things. If you've been waiting for the right time to upgrade your home's entertainment room, now is the time to do it. Right before football season, get in there. New home theater seats, air hockey tables, pool tables, dartboards, bars, bar stools, you name it, they got it. And it can all make your home this fall the entertainment hub of your neighborhood. OurGameRoom.com to learn more, but certainly the sizzling summer sales days going on right now at Games and Things out at the corner of Kingston Pike and Louisville Road. Go out and visit Scott and Lisa Mellon this week. Okay, it's Cavaliers line, first one of the year. we've made some rule changes this year to prevent people like Daniel from going all in week 2. So the first 5 weeks of the year, we can only wager $100 or $200. That's it. Those you get 2 options. Chuck, where are you setting the line for Tennessee Syracuse?
Well, I'll tell you what, I looked at this.
Quickly, we don't have time for that.
17.5. That's just, to me, it's going to be like a home game for Tennessee. I think the Vols are ready to turn the page. I think they're going to come out with a mission to prove a point, and they're going to prove it emphatically.
Okay.
17.5.
17.5, and we already have some people who have wagered last night on that line. Sterling, no surprise, $100. Ollie, $100 on the Vols. Sterling, $100 on the Vols. Marlon Walls, $200 on Syracuse. Will Overstreet, $100 on Syracuse. Mike Stoll, $100 on Syracuse. Jimmy Heins, $100 on Syracuse. Daniel Hood, $100 on Syracuse.
Oh.
I am going to go 100 on Syracuse. That does not mean I think they're going to win. That means I think 17.5
is big.
That's a lot of points for a team that we don't know anything about on their offense. I don't doubt for a second they could probably win this thing by 40. And if you go by Heupel's history and openers, they will. But I got to see it to believe it.
Understand.
Bob.
Temptation is to go with the guys picking Tennessee. I'm going to go with Syracuse, not because I think they'll win, but because I think Tennessee's defense may hold them to like 10, 13 points. They get a garbage touchdown at the end that cuts into 17.5. I'm going Syracuse for that reason.
How much?
100. No confidence.
Josh.
I like that we're in midseason form with the Sterl and Will Overstreet picks, Rain Cloud and Sunshine.
That's right.
I will fade the big group to start things out. So put me down for 100 on Tennessee. Reason being, I'm going to say that they allow the offense to run as much as they can for 4 quarters to get some reps.
Very good.
With a new quarterback.
Right. Yeah. Will West.
Yeah, for entertainment purposes only, I would do 200 on Syracuse because I think this is a 2-touchdown game.
Okay.
So I think 10 points is more likely than even 17. I just don't think Tennessee's offense is going to be completely squared away, and I think Fran Brown can coach.
The interesting thing that this comes down to, and it's true for the season, if Aguilar is the guy who comes in and gives you 1 extra deep ball a game and you go from 15 last year to 27 or 28 this year, it's a whole new offense. But if he's the guy who throws a pick, you're going to be looking at a lot closer games than you saw last year. You're going to see some of those wins turn into losses. But that said, if he hits 1 deep ball, that may be enough to get him over 17.5. So I think it's
or a defensive touchdown.
I don't think Syracuse is going to score a lot of points.
No, I don't either.
And
I just don't know if Tennessee
a
can
non-offensive
score enough to
touchdown. I would bet on that if I could get it.
Bob, thanks. Chuck, thanks. Will, thanks. Josh, thanks. When we come back, I got some news about the shows that we have in store for you this fall, and then a message about a couple of friends. Come on back on the Sports Source. Welcome back into the Sports Source. Look at that list. More Vol coverage than we've ever provided for you. All week long, we've got the Sports Source Digital Network, which is free on demand on YouTube 24/7, 365. Tons of programming, as you saw earlier today. All the people you've come to trust here on the Sports Source with the same level of goofiness that we provide on Sundays. Saturdays, well, it's the Sports Source Saturday Kickoff. And starting 11 a.m. this week, you can watch it right here on Channel 6 and on CW Nashville. That is a pregame show, a live lead-in for Tennessee Syracuse. You see the guys who are on it, and we'll be following the Tennessee tailgate. So start your Saturday at 10:30 a.m., the Tennessee tailgate here on Channel 6 live from Atlanta, then us from 11 to 12. And, of course, next Sunday, we've got the big post-game show. We'll be back with our crew of thousands to break down those games. I've dreaded this all week. I lost a friend this week. All of East Tennessee lost a friend this week. If we could roll the video, that'd be great. I first came to work here at WATE in 2001, and the Sports Source has been on the air here since 2006. So I've spent a quarter of a century at this great station. But I began my career a decade earlier at WBIR. I got my first job as a junior in college, and though I was the absolute lowest man on the totem pole, Bill Williams treated me as a friend, as he did everyone. And after I'd lost some of my connections to WBIR because I went to a competitor down the street, he opened the door for me. and welcomed me back into his boys' club, as he called it. Bill loved to open doors, to mend fences, to help others. This week, my father shared a story with me of the great British writer John Ruskin. In the fog of Victorian England, Ruskin and a friend watched a lamplighter take a torch, and one by one he lit the gas street lamps. After some distance, the men could no longer see the lamplighter in the fog. His form had been lost to the darkness and the mist, but they could still see the glowing light of the lamps he had lit. Ruskin pointed out that the man's path could be traced by the light he left behind. Well, from the children Bill helped get adopted, to the money he raised for MDA, for Friends of the Smokies, for Mission of Hope, and to the kindness he showed to all of those of us who knew him, no one I've ever known has ever left more shining light behind them than Bill Williams. God bless his family, for Bill surely was a blessing to all of us who knew him. And you saw in some of those photos, and right there, his dear friend Ken Schwall, who was laid to rest just yesterday. We've lost some good ones. We'll see you right back here next Saturday and next Sunday. Have a good week.